Welcome to the MI Mental Podcast. My name is Dr. Sabine Fonderson, and today we explore real life legal cases involving doctors and healthcare professionals. I'm going to dive into a case from our Doctors in Court edition, and this episode focuses on the relationship between patient care and professional ethics in occupational health, where a physician's responsibilities to the employer and patient can sometimes come into conflict. In today's case, I'll discuss a complaint brought by a patient against an occupational health physician with accusations ranging from misdiagnosis to a breach of confidentiality. As always, I'll be using fictional names to protect the privacy of those involved, though the details of the cases are based on real events. And by the end of the episode, I'll leave you with two questions to think about, so let's get started. Here's a breakdown of the key events that led to the complaint in this case. December 4th, 2004. Our patient, let's call him Mike, is a security guard and he was injured at work when he fell. He sustained injuries to his hand and hip, and he reported the injury and was placed on medical leave. A month later, January 18th, 2005, Mike was seen by Dr. Sarah, an occupational health physician employed by his company. After reviewing his injuries, Dr. Sarah determined that Mike was fit to return to work the following day, despite his claims that his injuries were still affecting him. The day later, January 19th, 2005, Mike returned to work but continued to experience pain and discomfort. He believed he was not fully healed and took issue with Dr. Sarah's assessment. A month later, February 14th, 2005, after a few weeks of working, Mike reported himself unfit for duty again, citing ongoing issues related to his fall. A different doctor confirmed his injuries and placed him on medical leave again. At this point, Mike filed his initial complaint against Dr. Sarah, questioning her diagnosis and claiming she failed to thoroughly examine him. April 2006. Mike sought to return to work, believing he was finally ready. However, Dr. Sarah delayed his return, saying she needed further information from his treatment team to fully assess his capacity to work. This led to further frustrations for Mike, who filed additional complaints claiming that Dr. Sarah was obstructing his return to work unnecessarily. This timeline sets the stage for Mike's former complaints against Dr. Sarah, which we'll explore next. Mike's former complaint against Dr. Sarah included three major accusations. Number one, failure to properly examine the patient. Mike claimed that during his initial appointment in January 2005, Dr. Sarah failed to perform a thorough examination of his injuries. He believed that if she had examined him properly, she would have seen that his injuries were more severe than she had initially assessed. And this misdiagnosis, Mike argued, led to unnecessary pain and suffering when he returned to work before he was ready. Accusation number two, breach of confidentiality. Mike also accused Dr. Sarah for sharing his medical information with his employer without his consent. He claimed that his employer was given detailed medical information about his condition, which contributed to further workplace tensions and a sense of mistrust between him and his supervisors. And accusation number three, obstructing his return to work. Finally, Mike accused Dr. Sarah of obstructing his return to work in April 2006. He believed that Dr. Sarah delayed his return unnecessarily, even after he was declared fit by his own doctors. Mike felt that Dr. Sarah's insistence on additional evaluations delayed his ability to resume his work, and that negatively affected his financial and emotional well-being. So these are the key points of Mike's case against Dr. Sarah, which will now contrast with her defense. Dr. Sarah's defense centered on three key arguments in response to Mike's accusations: proper examination and diagnosis. Dr. Sarah argued that her examination of Mike in January 2005 was thorough and appropriate. She reviewed his medical history, considered his injuries, and performed a physical examination. And based on the information she had at the time, she believed that Mike was fit to return to light duty work. She also pointed out that Mike had the option to request a second opinion, which he did not pursue at the time. The confidentiality concerns. Dr. Sarah denied that she breached Mike's confidentiality. She explained that as an occupational health physician, her role involved sharing limited medical information with Mike's employer regarding his fitness for work. Dr. Sarah emphasized that she only provided the employer with the necessary information related to his ability to perform his job duties and did not disclose any private medical details. Return to work decision. On the issue of delaying Mike's return to work in April 2006, Dr. Sarah defended her actions by explaining that she needed additional information from Mike's healthcare providers before making a final decision. Given Mike's long period of medical leave and the nature of his job as a security guard, she wanted to ensure that he was fully fit to return to work safely. So Dr. Sarah maintained that her actions were in line with her professional responsibility to both Mike and his employer. Dr. Sarah's defense highlighted the delicate balance occupational health physicians must maintain between advocating for the patient and providing accurate assessments to employers. Now, let's take a look at how the disciplinary board ruled on this case. Number 1, examination and diagnosis. The board found that Dr. Sarah's examination of Mike in January 2005 was consistent with standard medical practice. While they acknowledged that Mike's injuries were ultimately more severe than initially believed, they concluded that Dr. Sarah had based her decision on the information available at the time. The board did not find any evidence of negligence in her diagnosis. Confidentiality. On the issue of confidentiality, the board determined that Dr. Sarah had acted appropriately. As an occupational health physician, it was within her remit to inform Mike's employer about his fitness for work. The board found no evidence that Dr. Sarah disclosed any unnecessary medical information and ruled that his complaint was unfounded. Return to work decision. The board supported Dr. Sarah's decision to delay Mike's return to work in April 2006. They concluded that her request for additional information from Mike's healthcare providers was reasonable within the circumstances. Ensuring that Mike was physically and mentally ready to return to a demanding job was within Dr. Sarah's professional responsibilities. So the disciplinary board ruled that all of Mike's complaints were unfounded and they dismissed the case. Dr. Sarah was found to have acted within the bounds of professional ethics throughout her care for Mike. Now let's take a moment to explain some of the key medical and legal concepts from today's case. Occupational health. This is a branch of medicine that focuses on the physical and mental well-being of employees in the workplace. Occupational health physicians like Dr. Sarah assess employees' fitness for work and help ensure that the work environment does not negatively impact health. Confidentiality in occupational health. Occupational health physicians often share limited medical information with employers about an employee's ability to work. This is usually restricted to information related to the employee's capacity to perform job duties and does not include detailed personal health data. So these concepts are crucial for understanding the balance that occupational health physicians must strike between protecting patient privacy and fulfilling their obligations to employers. As we wrap up today's episode, here are 2 questions to think about. Question number 1. How can occupational health physicians ensure they respect patient confidentiality while fulfilling their responsibilities to employers? Well, physicians must be clear about what information is being shared and why. Providing only the necessary information related to job performance while protecting sensitive medical details helps maintain patient trust and meets employer expectations. Question number 2. What steps should patients take if they disagree with an occupational health assessment? Patient can request a second opinion or undergo an independent medical examination to challenge an occupational health assessment. Open communication with the physician and documentation of concerns are also critical. Thank you for joining me today for this discussion on professional boundaries and patient care in occupational health. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe for more Am I Mental podcast, the Doctors in Court edition. Until next time, take care.